Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EHEF Indonesia 2021 Institution Talk Show. Good afternoon to those of you who are in Indonesia, and good morning to our respected speakers in Europe as well. It's really great to see everyone here, and thank you for your time in joining and attending this auditorium. A little introduction about myself. My name is Suci. I'm an alumni from one of the universities in Sweden. I was a former EHEV attendee as well, and I will be your moderator throughout the session at Auditorium 1 today. Before we started, for all attendees, you will have the opportunity to submit text questions to the presenters by typing your questions into the questions box on the side of your YouTube screen. And you can send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We will collect this and address them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Okay, I would now like to introduce our amazing speaker here, Pak Niki Manesh, the Head of Trade, Economics and Promotion of the Embassy of Sweden, Jakarta, who will be presenting about study in Sweden, and he will be accompanied by Amreta and Ikhtiar as well. So, hi, Pak Niki.
Hi, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yes, you can, right?
Yeah,
there we go. Now I see myself on the video as well. Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me today.
Great. So, Pak Niki, the floor is yours. You can present the presentation now.
Thank you. So, first and foremost, fantastic to hear that you're an alumni from Halmstad, I think. That is the best coast. I come from Gothenburg, so it's a west coast closeness between us, of course. Let's see. I think I am supposed to share my screen, right?
Yeah.
So I'll do that first. Let's see. I hope this works now. If it doesn't work, just let me know.
Yeah, it works. We can see your presentation.
There we go. Fantastic. So before we get going on the presentation, I just want to thank you guys for having me, allowing me to speak about Sweden and study in Sweden, of course, today. Thank you everyone for logging in, whether it be in Indonesia or anywhere else. I have a couple of slides that I want to go through with some admission topics, with some technicalities about universities. But before that, let's just do Sweden, the basics first, for those of you who are not acquainted. So roughly 10 million inhabitants in Sweden with the population, a super green country, whether you be in the major cities or if you're in more remote areas, there is always green areas, lakes. We are crazy about nature in Sweden. So crazy that there are 5,000 nature reserves in the entire country. And spread across the country is, of course, also universities. And in Sweden, there are 39 outstanding universities. And they are spread across the country. So you can have your studies in the most southern parts of Sweden, but also in the most northern parts of Sweden. Sweden is an extremely international country. Everyone roughly speaks English. You can get by with only knowing English, to be fair. With that said, it's more fun for you and more fun for your family if you travel with family, and easier for you to come into social acquaintances if you learn some Swedish. It doesn't have to be fluently. I've tried to learn Bahasa Indonesia coming here, and setiap hari sedikit lebih baik. The same in Sweden, of course. Learning the basics will make it more fun for you and integrate you into society. Let's see, studying in Sweden then. What opportunities can you have when you go studying in Sweden? So the first thing, of course, is to find a program that matches your interests. And in Sweden, we have, of course, both bachelor, master's programs. On a bachelor level, there are over 100 programs. That is 3 years of full-time study. For the master degrees, there are over 1,000 programs. Both of these, you can do either 1 year or 2-year program. And most of these master programs are available also in English. Again, coming back to the fact that you can get around in Sweden with English as your core and main language. This also applies on master level. Some of the most popular programs, if you're interested in coming to Sweden, which you should be, you can see it here on the screen. We have biotechnology, design, engineering, international relations, all the life sciences, human rights, of course, which is a core value in Sweden and Swedish society, and also sustainability. I would say that sustainability is a main theme regardless of what you choose to study in Sweden. We love going green. We love preserving the nature, and this is one of the core and main values in Sweden. As I mentioned before, and this is illustrated, of course, through a map, you can study roughly anywhere in Sweden, from the south to the north and from the west to the east. In the map, of course, you see that Sweden is an extremely stretched country, but you do have the opportunity to study in the most remote areas in the north, where they are very good at, for instance, space sciences, both in Kiruna and Luleå, space sciences, heavy industry, a lot of technical educations. Then you can do, more human-oriented studies. Uppsala, Lund, focused on law, for instance, or political science. So super opportunities wherever you want to go. In order to ensure that you do feel that you can study in Sweden, the application process is super simple, super easy. Illustrated not least by this PowerPoint slide. You can apply online at a very direct page, universityadmissions.se. The application deadline is mid-January, and in April you receive your admission results. And in August, then the academic year starts. So it's a super easy, super transparent progress, which makes it easy for you to apply should you want to. Like I said, English, you get around the country quite well. There are, however, requirements on how this English, at what level that should be. On this screen, you can see a rough guide to the minimum level you'll need. But of course, you need to ensure, looking into the program that you're interested in, that the requirements for that course, it doesn't differ from these rough guides. So look into the program and the university that you're interested in to ensure that you meet the minimum requirements, so that there are no surprises after you've applied. There are tuition fees in Sweden. For an average master's or bachelor program, the cost is roughly 12,000 euros, or an equivalent to 200 million Indonesian rupiah. This applies for students outside of the EU, the Nordic countries, and Switzerland. This is also, of course, described even more if you go into universityadmissions.se, which was the webpage, and this will come back in the end of the presentation as well. Sweden offers different kind of scholarships for Indonesian students, which of course it makes it easier for you when you come to our country. I mentioned one specific here. This is the Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals. This is for master's students, and this covers living expenses and tuition fees. You can log into the Swedish Institute webpage to learn more about this scholarship. We will also come back to that in the end. And you see on the screen also what kind of requirements and the application process details. There are also scholarships that are offered by individual universities. You can check the homepage in the bottom of the screen, studyInSweden.se scholarships, for more information. So a little bit more on living and learning the Swedish way. Classrooms are perhaps a little bit different from here in Indonesia or anywhere else. There is an extreme flat hierarchy in Sweden. We speak on first name basis only. This applies also to professors or your colleagues, your teachers, anyone from the academic faculty. This is a first name basis context. And the reason for that is Swedes are encouraged to always question everything. It is true that there are hierarchies. It is true that there are those who decide and those who do not. But Swedes are generally, from a very young age, learned and taught to question everything. And this is a reason why we focus on learning and not punishing failure. So in order to learn from your progress, in order to learn from your experience, you have to question facts, truths, the way different things are done, and this will, in an aggregate way, lead to something to always be produced better. It also leads to you thinking individually, which brings out innovation, being able to have the courage to actually try something new, which is why we also focus on learning rather than punishing failure. Sweden, of course, is a different context than Indonesia, not least illustrated by the heavy snow in the background of this in this screen. We also love equality. Everyone is equal in Sweden, regardless of gender. Gender equality is super important for Sweden. It's something that you will definitely come in touch with when you're in Sweden. 12 out of 22 of the Swedish government ministers are women. Everyone has 480 days of parental leave, which has 3 months reserved for each parent. So regardless if you're a woman or if you're a man, you are not only heavily encouraged to ensure that you take out your parental leave, but it is something that is so traditional and so expected in Sweden that it would actually look a little bit weird if someone didn't want to be home with their child. We are #1 on the Gender Equality Index in the world, and 98% of Swedes feel promoting gender equality is important for a fair society. So again, this is something that is heavily mandated in the Swedish society. Like I touched on before, green, green, green. Swedes love the nature. That's one of the reasons why Swedes also love Indonesia. It is fantastic to travel in Indonesia because there are so many forests, so many, opportunities to experience the great biodiversity in Indonesia, and it is super valued in Sweden. 9% of Sweden is covered by lakes and rivers. 54.5% of the energy in Sweden is renewable. 63% of Sweden is covered by forest. And just to illustrate how important it is, Sweden is the most sustainable country in the world. Coming back again to what I spoke about before, questioning everything, leading to innovation. Sweden has so many unicorns. You see here on the screen, Spotify, Ericsson, IKEA, H&M, Volvo. I'm sure many of you listen to Spotify every day. Stockholm produces the most unicorns per capita after Silicon Valley, which shows that just innovation is part of the Swedish way of learning. Another thing that is super important for Swedes is work-life balance. There is less than 1% of all workers that work 50 hours a week or more. We are very keen on ensuring that life isn't only about work. It's about experiencing other things in life also. And to be fair, to ensure that, 8 hours a day can ensure effectivity and make sure that you're always on your best. If you want to continue your studies in Sweden, please log into these links on the screen. Studieinsweden.se has a lot of information if you want to engage. You can look at their YouTube channel. You can chat on Facebook, Instagram, learn more about how you can study in Sweden, what opportunities that you have when going to Sweden for your studies. If you're interested to learn a little bit more about the requirements now, especially during pandemic and COVID times, please also log into the embassy's webpage if you have any questions on visa requirements or study admissions or how you're supposed to apply also for the legal requirements to entering Sweden. I also want to encourage you to, when in Sweden, join PPI Swedia or Alumni Swedia. The embassy has a great collaboration with both, and joining the alumni organizations in Sweden for Indonesian students is also a fantastic way to get into society, but also ensure that Sweden and your experiences in Sweden follow you through life. So tack, terima kasih. Tack, as we say in Sweden, thank you so much for listening to me today. We have plenty of resources now, not only myself, but also resources with us should you have any questions. So thank you so much, Makasi. I look forward to any questions.
Thank you, Nikki, for the amazing presentation about study in Sweden. So we are now going to open the Q&A session and begin answering all the questions submitted during your presentation. I will read the first question, and it is from the EHEF for the Swedish Institute scholarships. One of the criteria stated that you must at least have 3,000 hours work experience. May I ask what kind of document needed to prove that you fulfill it? Mbak Amreta dan Mas Ikhtiar, you can as well answer the questions if you don't mind.
Hi, Suci.
Hi, Mas
Can I help
Ikhtiar.
answer the question?
Sure.
Should I talk in English or bahasa?
Whichever you're comfortable with. Bahasa Indonesia juga nggak apa-apa, Mas.
Oh, okay. So, Nikki, I'm going to be speaking in Indonesian if that's okay with you. Try to follow.
Yeah, I'll understand 20%. That's fine.
All right, cool. Okay. Jadi, teman-teman, yang 3.000 jam kerja itu, Swedish Institute itu sudah menyediakan template-nya. Gitu. Jadi nanti teman-teman tinggal ke websitenya SI, lalu download template-nya, kemudian di print, habis itu bisa setelah di print, setelah diisi gitu ya, teman-teman bisa bawa formnya itu untuk divalidasi oleh perusahaan-perusahaan yang teman-teman sebutkan di template-nya, dan bisa menyertakan sampai 3 perusahaan gitu. Jadi teman-teman nanti baik-baikin orang-orang HR-nya ya, yang dulu mungkin kantor sebelumnya, bisa kontak mereka, lalu
Oke.
Apakah cukup menjawab?
Ya, semoga cukup menjawab tadi untuk Zark ya, Mas Ikhtiar, tentang 3.000 jam. Oke, we can move to the next question, perhaps? Yeah. So next one is Francisca. I think this is also related to the SI scholarships or study in Sweden. I think she needs to make it more clear, but the question is, can I apply if I'm older than 35 years old? Thank you in advance. Yeah. Nikki or Amreta or Ikhtiar, I think you all can answer.
Yeah, sure. Please, silakan, Mas Ikhtiar.
Yeah.
If you have.
Oh, I kind of lost the connection just now. Could you please repeat the question, like briefly?
Sure, Mas Ikhtiar. So the question is, can I apply if I'm older than 35 years old? I think it could refer to both, if you don't mind to answer, yeah?
I'm so sorry.
Okay, I think the connection.
If I may just, yeah.
Sure. Or you can try to turn off the video so then the voice maybe would be more clear.
Yes, I think I can hear much better. Could you, sorry, again, repeat the question? I'm so sorry.
Sure, it's fine. So she was asking, can I apply if I'm older than 35 years old? Thank you in advance.
Well, it is stated that 35 years old is There's no age limitations actually. As long as you are still in the productive age, kalau umurnya masih produktif ya, kita sangat sarankan teman-teman untuk apply gitu. Yang penting teman-teman belum tahun depan pensiun, intinya gitu.
Betul, bisa dicatat ya. Dan itu applicable untuk SI scholarship ya, Mas. Kalau untuk kampus juga,
Ya,
apakah ada
untuk
batasan umur?
scholarship dari Swedish Institute, ya
Oke.
ada, kalau nggak salah beberapa tahun yang lalu itu ada penerimanya umurnya berusia 40 tahun ke atas.
Oke.
Cuman kita nggak tahu itu dari negara mana ya, tapi ada. Oh, dari Indonesia, maaf ya, dari Indonesia ada yang umurnya waktu itu diterima beasiswanya dan umurnya sudah 40 tahun ke atas.
Siap. Jadi jangan khawatir ya tentang
Ya,
batasan umur.
teman-teman pantang menyerah ya. Coba aja.
Siap, Mas Ikhtiar. Next question nih, Mas. Feni Devita. Oke, sorry. Ini sama pertanyaannya 3000 jam. Aku next question dari Wansa to finalize. Is it mandatory to have GMAT or GRE scores to apply for business schools in Sweden? Can we still apply although we don't have the scores?
Oh, oke. Jadi khusus untuk business schools ya, teman-teman, tergantung juga program studinya. Memang ada yang mensyaratkan seperti GMAT atau GRE. Nah, itu tapi sangat kasuistik. Jadi teman-teman harus kontak dulu sama program studinya. Kalau teman-teman main ke website dari universitas, itu ada orang-orang yang bisa dikontak, kontak personnya. Teman-teman tanya langsung sama mereka. Tanya juga nilai minimum skornya berapa yang dibutuhkan. Gitu.
Oke, spesifik berarti harus tanya kampus ya, Mas ya. Bisa kunjungi kampusnya langsung nih teman-teman di virtual booth di luar auditorium ini. Kalau mau nanya lebih spesifik tentang requirement business school gitu ya, Mas ya.
Betul, dan nilai minimumnya juga kadang-kadang berbeda-beda. Jadi tergantung program studinya, tergantung juga universitasnya.
Siap. Oke, we can go next. Oke, dari Angela Kumaunang. Is there a limit to how many rounds we can apply for SISGP?
How many rounds?
How many rounds
Jadi,
ya?
round maksudnya tahun ini misalnya coba apply, terus misalnya nggak dapet nih, tahun depan coba apply lagi gitu ya? Mungkin
Ya.
pertanyaannya aku nangkepnya gitu ya?
Ya, mungkin pertanyaannya ada limit nggak sih berapa kali daftar gitu,
Nggak ada,
maksimum
teman-teman.
trial ya?
Iya. Itu kerennya Swedia. Jadi selama teman-teman masih berkesempatan untuk apply, itu tiap tahun itu akan seperti riset lagi. Jadi teman-teman tiap tahun apply aja sampai dapat. Kalau nggak salah pernah ada dulu salah satu teman kita itu baru dapat tembus gitu ya, dipilih jadi penerima beasiswa itu di percobaan keempat.
Wow.
Jadi teman-teman ini adalah game yang panjang, jangan nyerah.
Siap, jangan nyerah intinya ya.
Jangan nyerah intinya.
Betul. Oke, next question nih Mas Ikhtiar dari Rian Paramarini. Sorry. Hey, I have completed my bachelor's in linguistics and master's in European studies. So I would like to apply for a master's program in political science. Am I eligible? Wah, spesifik banget nih. Jadi nanya tentang eligibility-nya.
Iya, oke. Ini aku coba perluas ya. Jadi teman-teman kalau misalnya mau lintas jurusan, intinya gitu ya, lintas jurusan ya. Misalnya S1-nya apa, terus mau lanjut ke S2 di Swedia, tapi mungkin nggak linear program studinya. Nah, ini akan sangat tergantung dari prasyaratnya masing-masing program studi dan juga universitasnya. Jadi sama kasusnya kayak tadi, kita sangat menyarankan teman-teman kirim email aja langsung ke contact person dari masing-masing program studinya, lalu attach misalnya transkrip nilai teman-teman, terus ijazahnya juga, terangkan ke mereka, berikan motivasi kenapa teman-teman mau lintas jurusan. Bisa jadi mungkin karena karir yang berubah, terus misalnya karena ada kepentingan khusus yang teman-teman harus kejar ilmunya. Nah, itu semua coba dijelaskan ke universitasnya dan ke program studinya. Nanti mereka akan menimbang berdasarkan dari transkrip nilainya, ijazahnya, lalu motivasi kita apa. Dan kalau mereka pertimbangkan ternyata kita bisa, maka mereka akan kasih lampu hijau. Tapi kalau mereka ternyata setelah dipertimbangin nih, ternyata teman-teman nggak eligible, nah itu mereka juga akan langsung membalas bahwa teman-teman misalnya tidak bisa diterima. Jadi teman-teman nggak akan digantungin gitu istilahnya.
Ya, siap. Oke, semoga jelas untuk Rin para Marini ya. Kebetulan tadi pertanyaan terakhir nih, Mas Ikhtiar. So, makasih jawabannya, and we finally come to the end of the session. I'd like to thank Nikki for the informative presentation and Mas Ikhtiar as well to answer all of the questions before. Thank you for all the participants as well for the participation today. And as a reminder, before we close the session, the virtual event is happening outside of the room at the virtual booth. If you want to ask more questions to study in Sweden and universities in Sweden or other universities throughout the Europe, you can go there and ask the representative directly. So don't forget to visit the booth. On behalf of the EHEF 2021 organizer, thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Ikhtiar. Thank you, all participants, for joining us in the session, and see you in the next session. Thank you.